When your AC stops working, just call the experts at KS Services Heating and Air. They're fast and affordable. Right now, purchase any Bryant energy efficient system and save with 0% interest for 60 months with approved credit. It comes included with a 5-year labor warranty. And our fair price guarantee means that we will always give you 3 quotes for every situation. A good, better, and best. Call KS Services Heating and Air today. We roll on, whatever it takes.
It's the Weather Xtreme video. This is the afternoon edition for Tuesday, the 5th of September. I'm James Spann. Got some strong storms across North Alabama this evening, but obviously much of the attention focused on Irma, which is quite remarkable in its scope and strength today. As we often do, we'll start with a water vapor satellite view, kind of giving us a good synoptic look at things around the continent. You can see a very high amplitude pattern, a big ridge in the west, a big trough in the east, and that developing eastern trough is going to pull Irma north, make a hard right-hand turn over the weekend, and where that turn happens will determine the impact on the Florida Peninsula. We'll check the radar locally. We've got some pretty strong storms here. Looky here, big storms in progress over about the northern third of the state. In fact, at that moment, at 2:15, we had a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of DeKalb County. Had reports of some small hail, gusty winds, a lot of lightning. All of this in advance of a cold front coming through. In fact, there's the severe weather risk for the rest of today and tonight, the standard slight risk up in the northeastern states, and a marginal risk extending down into the northern half of Alabama. The main threats from small hail, strong gusty winds. Tornadoes we don't expect to be a problem. Tomorrow, a marginal risk, actually 2 on the eastern seaboard, one up around Boston and one from near the mouth of Chesapeake Bay down to the Carolinas. And on day 3, which is Thursday, no severe weather expected around the country. And we will be in very dry air in Alabama. Here's the rain for the next 7 days, and obviously the big numbers are with Irma on the South Atlantic coast. But the one positive here, that thing's going to be moving along. It's not going to get in there and sit like Harvey for 5 days. It'll keep on chugging along, so rain amounts should be under a foot for most spots. And yeah, the tropics are slightly active. And you know what? This is almost at the climatological peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. This is to be expected. It's been, pretty quiet for a long time. We had to break out at some point. We've got Irma, we have Jose, and we have that disturbance in the Bay of Campeche. Let's start with 95L. That's the disturbance in the far southwest Gulf of Mexico. No worries if you're in Houston, Galveston, Port Arthur, Beaumont. This thing's going to drift back into Mexico. You got the Clipper. That's not a dynamic model. That is a statistical model, and we throw that out. It's headed to Mexico, so no worries there. This is the system trailing Irma. This is Tropical Storm Jose. Winds 40 miles an hour. This is expected to become a hurricane. There could be some upwelling in the wake of Irma that might affect it, but still it's expected to reach hurricane strength. And by Sunday morning, it should be well north of Puerto Rico. And more than likely, it just sits out there for a while. The steering currents collapse, and the bottom line is it's no threat to land anytime soon. We'll keep an eye on that. But obviously, the focus is on Irma. And we've seen some remarkable satellite images today coming from GOES 16. And top winds, 185 miles per hour. That's sustained based on data coming from the NOAA aircraft, the USAF aircraft in the area today. The pressure down to 929 millibars last time I peeked. Just remarkable. Let's look at the latest forecast track. This is the official track coming from the National Hurricane Center based on the advisory early this afternoon. Hurricane warnings for the U.S. Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Hurricane watch for the northern coast of Hispaniola and the southeastern Bahamas. And the Hurricane Center has this thing pretty close to Key West Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. And again, that's going to be making a hard right turn here. These are the tropical models, and you can see many of them have it now moving up the east coast of Florida instead of the west coast. But again, understand, listen, these models are going to do the hokey pokey. They're just going to keep on doing that. Be aware of that. I'll show you the GFS and the European here in just a second. But where the right-hand turn occurs, that will determine the impact on the Florida Peninsula. And calling that right-hand turn is going to be a very challenge at this point. The turn's probably going to be at some point Saturday night, maybe even Sunday. It's 4 or 5 days out. And once we get within 48 hours, the confidence is pretty high. At this stage of the game, we know the turn's going to happen, but exactly where, we don't know. And one thing I wanted to point out, obviously we've got a historic hurricane in terms of wind. This is going to be clearly in the top 5 an Atlantic hurricanes on record, but more than likely it's peaking in intensity about right now. Everything's perfect. Oceanic heat content, no interaction with land, shear minimal if non-existent. But notice in the guidance here, just a slow trend downward over the next 5 days. And again, once we get closer to the weekend, there could be some interaction with Cuba. Shear could increase a little bit, but we stress this will still more than likely be a major hurricane once it approaches the Florida Keys and the Florida Peninsula, most likely a Category 4. So don't let this weakening trend make you think there's no threat here. There's a big threat. This is a big problem, but again, I have a funny feeling it's probably peaking about right now. So let's go through the GFS. This is the 12Z run, valid tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock local time. And there's your high amplitude pattern. Big ridge in the west, big trough in the east. The showers and storms tonight will be long gone for the northern half of Alabama. They'll shift down across the southern quarter of the state. And for the northern half of the state, sky becoming partly to mostly sunny, cooler, less humid, a fresh north breeze of 15 to 25. Thursday, hey, we could see some of the cooler pockets in the upper 40s. Beautiful day, sunny with upper 70s. Friday, just gorgeous. Great night for high school football, all across the Deep South. Same thing Saturday for the college games. A beautiful day, sunny, low humidity. The high should be in the low 80s. And, of course, Irma is coming up on the Keys. Let's go to Sunday. This is Sunday at noon. Now, the GFS begins to turn and suggest this might be close to Miami or West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Sunday at midday. And again, that pressure, 898 millibars, I think that's way too low. I don't believe that for a second. But still, it could be a powerful Category 4 hurricane at that point. This is Sunday night, just after midnight, the center just offshore, just east of Melbourne. And then Monday at midday, it's just northeast of Jacksonville. So the GFS wants to run this thing just offshore, and that would keep the Florida Peninsula on the good side. And understand, even in this scenario, it's going to be bad, but still, it's kind of like a Matthew thing. It's going to be on the better side. And then Tuesday of next week, the remnant circulation, according to the GFS, it's near Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and wraparound moisture, maybe some rain for North Alabama. But Alabama's going to be on the dry side, and I'm not so sure that's right. Let's look at the European. This tends to perform better in the medium range. This is the European, Sunday at 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. It has, at that point, Irma on the north coast of Cuba. Go to Sunday night. It's moving due north, and it comes right basically across Key West at 936 millibars. And this is really a worst-case scenario. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is just model output. It's really too early to call the specifics. And again, this is just after midnight Sunday night. We'll go to Monday at midday. This thing is inland, south of Orlando. And then we'll go to Tuesday. It is approaching Augusta, Georgia, with wind and rain with a diminishing system for the Carolinas and Georgia. And again, we stress, listen, Alabama's on the dry side of this thing, the good side, a northerly flow. There could be some rain over far east Alabama Monday night or Tuesday, as you can see in this depiction here. There could very well be. But again, no flooding, no problems in Alabama. We're on that good side. But it's just too early to call the specific impact on the Florida Peninsula. But obviously, it's going to be a huge impact, whichever solution we showed you here. And just if you're there, listen to your local authorities and do what they say. We'll check the end of the forecast period. This is Friday of next week, the 15th, troughing over the northeast. And again, a very dry air mass. Really, after tonight, here in Alabama, will be dry for a while, with the exception of maybe some rain for the eastern counties with the far edge of Irma Monday night or Tuesday of next week. Check the numbers. They're looking good. A lot of 70s for highs, a lot of 50s for lows. Evidence might creep up in the upper 80s toward mid-month. We could be pretty hot around here in September, but still no 90s are showing up. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video this afternoon. We'll have notes in the blog. The next video here by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you can't catch us this evening on ABC 3340 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless.
AC broken? Just call KS Services Heating and Air. All Bryant energy efficient systems come with a 5-year labor warranty, and our fair price guarantee means that we'll always give you 3 quotes for every situation. Just call KS Services Heating and Air today.